Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Directory podcast, and I'm your host, Diamond Young, and I am back with another episode. I have no clue what number we're on. Maybe it's like number 20 or something, but I have a very special episode for you today. I'm riding solo, but I really wanted to spend some time and give you a little bit more insight onto how I launched this podcast. I launched it within like a 30-day period, and it was insane. But I really get asked all the time about, how did you do it? I'm thinking about starting a podcast of my own. And I don't know, I just want to really start moving towards teaching other people how to make a podcast, showing that it's possible, and really just giving the blueprint, giving some tips and some best practices overall. So there will be more episodes like this to come. But I wanted to spend some time in this episode just going over what that process was like, what are some of the things and key areas that I focused on to be able to pull this off in such a short time frame. And I think that's just so important. It's so important to be able to share, because a lot of people think that it's just not that it can't be done, but I think it's the unknown. I think it's the unknown of not knowing what to expect, what's all going to go into it. Do I need $1,000 and all this money? And I really, really just want to spend this time just giving you kind of more insight, right, and context, and just all that really happened in that 30 days to prepare to actually launch the podcast. So took some notes. Okay, so let me go into why, right? Like, why should you make a podcast? Why did I decide to make a podcast? And I will say that I think it's different for everyone. I think it really, really varies, right? And for us, Black Directory, we knew that, for one, it was always a part of the plan. Let's start there. It was always a part of the plan. But podcasts, it's a great way to get in front of more people, to expand our reach, to expand our audience, to reach more people. It's a good way to share insight, right? Some of you listening, you may feel like you're an expert in a certain industry or a certain field, or it may not be so super professional and all together. And it may be something that's more into just your interest. It could be all about a TV show. Like, it really could be whatever you want it to be. So you have to figure out your why. But for us, we knew that we wanted to tell the stories of Black entrepreneurs. Simple as that. We knew that, okay, how can we reach more people, be discovered by more people, reach our audience in a different way that we weren't currently doing on social media? How do we bring other people, right, into the mix to where they could tell their own stories versus it's just our voice all the time? So we really wanted to try something different and just see how it went, because we really didn't know what to expect anyway. So that's kind of our why. So the next thing, also in my notes, something else that is a huge benefit besides like expansion and reach and being an expert and sharing your knowledge, but you are creating your own media platform. And that's the leverage that you want, right? I think a lot of times, especially as an entrepreneur, we want to get on other people's show, and it's like, why aren't we just creating our own platform? Because what it does is it creates your own table where people are trying to come to your party, come to your table, and you're the gatekeeper. You have the ability to allow people to come on your platform and share that stage with you and tell their stories. And the more exposure that person gets, say if it's a guest kind of show with a guest format, people are going to your platform now to learn something new or to see what that guest is talking about. And you are always going to be involved because it's your show. So as they get more exposure, you get more exposure. So that's something that I definitely wanted to touch base on because that is a huge benefit to having your own show. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go into more detail about some of my focus areas. So I say that one of the first things you need to do, besides just figuring out why you even want to create a podcast, but you really need to sit and take the time to define your niche. I never know if it's niche or niche, but define your niche, right? You really want to figure out, what is your show going to be about? What do we represent? What do we want this media platform to be known for? And it's so important to do that work because that is something that when you're lost in the future, you'll be able to go back to it and reference it. And it's the anchor. It is what your show stands on. It is what your show is about. It's what you want to be known for. So it can vary. You could decide to go more into comedy, finance, dating and relationships, lifestyle, business, entrepreneurship, fictional stories. It really just depends on what you want your show to be about. But you can't do the rest of the work without knowing and identifying that, to be totally honest. So for us, we knew that, okay, we want to bring on entrepreneurs that identifies Black. We wanted to be on the business side. So business, marketing, entrepreneurship, we wanted to stay in that realm and be able to give tips and gems. We wanted the audience to leave feeling like, wow, I learned something new. That's something that I didn't know about. Maybe they'll feel encouraged to go after, their dreams. That sounds so cliche, but go after their dreams and just to tap in overall. So it is very important to take that time to understand why you're doing this and what is your show going to be about. Okay. And also, let me touch on this before I move on. Um, a few things that you want to think about if you're kind of stuck and trying to figure out, okay, I don't know. You want to think about your general interest. You want to think about your general interests. What are some things that I naturally gravitate towards? Something that I would say is an interest of mine. Things that I can't stop talking about. I'm always talking to family and friends and coworkers about. Um, Another way is to do research. What are shows that people are really, really into these days? And I'm not saying to base your whole decision off of something that you really don't have an interest in. I do think you want to have some level of interest because that's what's going to feed into sustainability, right? Being around for a long time, having a sustainable show, you definitely want to still aim towards something that you like, but what is it that people are searching for and wanting more of? And, what does that really look like? And then again, what are topics that you love? Are you like really into crime shows? You're a crime show junkie and you just love just talking to your friends and everyone about that. That may be something that you want to make a show about. Is it real estate, right? It could be real estate where you just love reading about it, researching about it, talking to others about it. That is the type of thing that you may want to base your show around. So that's just a few things to consider when you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to be your niche. Okay, next thing. You want to be able to identify your audience. Audience. This is super important because you can't quite move that far if you don't know who you're targeting. You don't know who to kind of customize your social media plans and your strategies and your marketing plans around if you don't really know who it is that your ideal listener, like, who would your ideal listener be? Think about the age range, right? Is it someone in their early 20s? Is it someone that is in a certain industry or field? Do you think it could possibly be gender specific? These are the things that you definitely want to be thinking about, want to consider, because that it'll give you that blueprint and help you kind of shape the way of how you'll strategize and how you'll market to people. So you definitely want to do that. And again, this will impact social media, right? Who are we catering to? Design, graphics, everything. It has a huge impact. So please, please, please spend the time identifying your audience. Again, for us, when we were going through the process, it's like, okay, we knew why we wanted to create a podcast. We knew kind of how it would fit into our business and that we wanted to expand our reach. We knew that we wanted to talk about business, entrepreneurship, a little bit of marketing, and just give others the platform to share their story. And then when we thought about our audience, it's like, okay, most likely entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs would be listening in. And we knew that it would most likely be 25 to 34-year-olds. But again, and one thing I will say too, sometimes you can have a guess of those kind of things as far as age. But I do think throughout time, once you get your show started in the analytics, you may see that, oh, wow, we thought this audience was listening, but really is this audience. Your audience could be from a different country. It could be so many things that can help you create like that profile of a person, that listener. So some things you do kind of figure out along the way. But overall, you want to still make a plan. That way you can know how you want to move in your marketing. And then you can tweak it along the way as you really, really discover who your audience is. And also think about who will enjoy your content, right? Who would enjoy it the most? Is it college grads? Or people that just graduated college and they're looking for a job? Is it people that love real estate? We were talking about real estate. Is it people that they're already into it? Maybe they work in the real estate industry, or they're thinking about investing and they're trying to figure out how to expand their portfolio. You really want to think about who would love to consume your podcast. Next. So the next thing that we focused on was exploring tools, systems, and process plans. And that all sounds so serious. And the way I look at it is, okay, if I want to pull off one episode, one show, what all needs to take place? Because at the end of the day, we're busy. We have to go to work. We have things to do. Some people have kids. And it's just like, okay, how do I get this done? How can I save time? But I can't really save time until I know all the steps, right? So I really focused on my process plan. Calling all sponsors. Black Directory is looking for sponsors that align with our mission and brand. To learn more or to submit a sponsorship request, please visit us at blackdirectory.com/podcast or click on the sponsor link listed in the show notes. And honestly, it's simple as far as getting started. Paper, pen, or pull out your notes on your phone and really writing down, okay, do I have guests on my show? Yes. Okay, I need to find the guests. If I find the guests, how do they apply to be on the show? Do I want to meet with them first? How long is that going to be? Okay, I want to do a 15-minute call with people to make sure that they're a good fit and to make sure they don't have any questions. What platform do I want to use for that? I'm going to use Calendly. So it was really thinking about the end-to-end process. So that's something that we definitely spent some time doing. And my guidance with that is just to write it out first. Really think about every single detail from the beginning stages to planning to intake if you're bringing like a guest. your run of show. What does the show look like? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 45? Really thinking about the whole process. And then when it comes to tool and systems, that's more so on the side of where am I recording the show? Not necessarily the physical place, which is something you'll have to figure out too, but how am I recording it? Like what system and platform and software system am I recording this on? Um, and more importantly, something that I did not know is how do I get my episode on Spotify or Amazon or Apple Podcasts? I had no clue. And then, of course, through research, which you have to do your research, but I learned about hosting sites, which is how you're able to connect your finished episode to a platform that then connects it to all these other directories, right? All of these other podcast platforms. So I had to really spend time figuring out my process. How long does it take to produce and to edit and all these things? But it's so important to not skip this step because you really can't move forward without it. So you have to figure out, okay, how do I get this done? What's the most efficient and effective way to do this? Okay, say I record my podcast. What am I recording it on? And who edits it? Am I going to edit the podcast or am I going to outsource? That's something that's very important to figure out for yourself because all of these things play a part and everything has a timeline and how long it's going to take either you to finish or someone else to finish. So, and also equipment, which we'll get into soon, which is purchasing equipment on a budget. But for us, we did a lot of trial and error and figuring it out. And the direction I decided to go into is, I made my whole process plan. I documented everything I thought would go into what I'm doing. And some things you document along the way, like you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So I did research and looked at other tasks and things related to podcasting and some things I added along the way as I was going through the process. I knew for us that we would have a show that would incorporate guests. So I made a list of all these guests that I would want to have on the show. I started writing out how I was going to approach them. Okay, I'm going to contact them through social media, through the DMs. And what am I saying? Like, how do I tell them what the show is about? And am I sending them a link? I don't want to message them without a plan. So I really took that time to develop a plan end to end of, okay, I'm going to use the site Calendly to send them the link. We'll get on a call. Here are the questions I'm going to ask them. I figured out all these things, but it helped me become so organized. I was able to be so organized and lead people through the process because as you involve other people, you don't want people to get lost along the way. So you really want to be able to have the answers of no, okay, yes, we're going to schedule a call. I'll be able to answer some of your questions and introduce the platform to you and let you know what we're all about. And then after that, I'll follow up within this time frame and let you know how we'll be moving forward. And you just have to have your mind wrapped around these things because I promise you, you will get lost along the way. It doesn't mean you can't find your way back, but there will be a time with confusion. I'll put it that way. It will be very confusing at one point, but it gets better. I will say that because it's a little bit rocky at first and you're kind of finding your rhythm and you're finding your way. And then you just start fine tuning your process. So I'll leave that with you. And let me just move into purchasing equipment on a budget, which is the last thing that I'll touch on. Sorry, car outside. Okay, purchasing equipment on a budget. So you just want to get the essentials. Please, I've done it, which is why I'm telling you not to do it. Don't get so into all of this equipment where you spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars because at the end of the day, total transparency, you have to see if this is for you. And you don't want to go crazy with the investment until you can figure out, is this something that I enjoy? Is this something that I want to do long term? And then you really up it with the equipment throughout time. So for me, the approach that I took with this is I wanted to know what are the essentials, what are the things that I absolutely have to get started, what are all the things, and um, I knew I needed a microphone. That was one thing that I just knew, right? So I was able to purchase a USB microphone, and I'll make sure to tag all of these things. And you can find more in the ebook, which has all the links and all the list of things that I did and the steps that I took. But I was able to purchase a USB microphone. So, and it was something where it's not the worst and it's not the best, like somewhere in the middle, not too expensive, definitely under $100 for the microphone. It may have been under $75. And so I got a microphone. I already had a computer, but you will need some type of computer. So I already have my Mac laptop. And I have a phone, I have a tripod. Granted, you may not need that. It just depends on how you want to start. But I had some of the basics, but I definitely did not have a microphone. And then something else that I had to figure out is, was I going to edit these episodes, and what do I need to do to, of course, publish the episodes. But that's something that you'll definitely need to figure out as well. Is, okay, am I outsourcing the Fiverr and getting an editor, which is a route that I took because I don't have, that much time and I would get frustrated. So I decided to outsource there. And again, with the other stuff, as far as the hosting sites, you just shop around. And I use Buzzsprout, but you figure out the site that you want to use to actually publish the episodes. But as far as the essentials, though, as far as, say, a microphone and some of the actual physical equipment that you may need, I always suggest shopping around. I am definitely that girl where I'm looking at reviews, I'm looking at ratings, I'm looking around. So the top few places, and I love Best Buy. So some things it's like, okay, Best Buy is the best option, it's the best option. But I always suggest to look, go to Amazon first. I don't know why I start with Amazon first, but Amazon, what do you have? Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist. I feel like I'm missing one, but yeah, just start there. Just start there. You may even know someone that has equipment too that they don't even currently use. That's always ideal. So ask around, but shop around. Shop around and see what has the best prices and the best bang for your buck. And you really want to go into it with a budget, because it is easy to swipe and just be out here spending all this money. And again, the purpose, especially when you get started, is let me get the bare minimum, get what I need, right? And not too cheap, because I just had a flashback, like quality, right? You want to make sure your voice, you want to make sure you're good to go with that microphone. But overall, you want to just get started. That's some wisdom for you. And that's something that I learned when I did all of this in that 30-day time frame. Is I just want to get started, because I can be a perfectionist and I can get stuck in the weeds and all this stuff. But it's so possible to get what you need, get prepared, create your show, launch, put it out in 30 days. It is so possible, because I've done it. And I can honestly say it was so worth it. It was so worth it, like just getting started. And I'm so happy. It's been so rewarding. And something that I did is I reached out to all my guests and sent thank you emails around Christmas for just being a part of the show, and just getting some of the feedback, seeing the impact it had on others, seeing the exposure they were able to get from my platform. And I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot as a speaker. And it's just been very worthwhile, to be honest. I would say it's been worthwhile. And now I've just grown this passion of helping other people get their show off the ground, because now I've seen how easy it is. Not saying it's so easy, but just how doable. Maybe that's the word. It can be done, but you have to want it, and you have to really have your why, because that's what's going to keep you grounded, and that's what's going to keep you going. So I hope that this was helpful and not all over the place, but I really had it on my list of, okay, I want to make an episode about podcasting, some tips, some mindset, right? Some mindset practice of where your head needs to be able to do this. It is not for everyone. It is something where you definitely need to know your why and who you're serving and what type of content you want to create. And what do you want to get out of it? Because there, of course, is ways to monetize and, gain sponsorship and all of those cool things. But is it something that you really want to do? And that's only something that you know and that you can answer. But again, I hope that this is helpful. I'm going to leave some cool things and resources for you in the show notes, including my ebook, How I Launched a Podcast in 30 Days. And it goes into way, way, way more detail. And it's super cool. It actually has the equipment that I use, the prices, the links. It has, more about cover art and just all the things. It was more things that I didn't get to. Marketing plans, pre-launch, everything you need to launch is in there. So definitely please go check it out. And I also, shameless plug, but I also offer podcast consultations. And something that I realized as I work with different clients and with different coaching engagements, people love being able to talk on the phone and really brainstorm. Is this a good idea? What are the things that I should be thinking about? And they really appreciate that live aspect. So I have that as well. And last shameless plug, if you book a consultation, right, a podcast consultation, you'll get the ebook for free. So that is my bundle. It's a great deal because you get to, of course, take your time with the self-paced ebook. Can't get it out. Self-paced ebook, but we get to spend an hour on the call and really create a plan for you with goals, timelines, recommendations. And I'm able to help you kind of do some of that discovery work. That way you're ready to go. Okay. When you get off the phone, you're ready to rock and roll and you feel confident and like you have a plan, like a real deal launch plan. So take advantage of that. Again, if you didn't catch all that, it's okay because I'm going to include it in the show notes. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Enjoying the show? Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating and review. Interested in connecting with Black-owned businesses and joining the family? We got you covered. Download Black Directory in both the iOS and Android app stores. Until next time.